Okay, let's get right into it. This story, it's about way more than just one person's success. It's really about the world we've all built, and the kind of choices, or lack of choices, it leaves for a whole new generation.
$43 million. I mean, just let that number sink in for a second. That's what one creator, who's just 20 years old, made. And get this, that was in just 1 year.
So who is she? Her name is Sophie Rain, and yeah, you can bet that earning this kind of cash totally flipped her life upside down. But this story isn't just about the money, not even close.
And that brings us to the real question we've got to ask here. I mean, in a world where we're told you can be anything, do anything, why did this path, a pretty controversial one, let's be honest, seem like the best option? Not just for her, but for a lot of other people too.
So, to really get it, we need to rewind. We've got to go back to the beginning. Way before the private jets and the fancy Miami mansions, her reality, it was a whole different world.
So Sophie's story kicks off in a place that's unfortunately familiar to something like 42 million Americans. She grew up on food stamps. She saw her parents literally crying over bills they just couldn't pay. So right after high school, she did what you'd expect, got a restaurant job to help the family out. But when her boss found out she'd started an OnlyFans on the side, just to make ends meet, he fired her, just like that. And after that, she couldn't find another job. So OnlyFans had to work. It wasn't a choice anymore. It was basically do or die.
And look, her story isn't just some isolated case of bad luck. No way. It's actually a symptom of a much, much bigger economic reality. A reality that's putting a serious squeeze on her entire generation.
Just look at this graph. The gap it's honestly insane. Since 1978, CEO pay has just exploded. We're talking over 1,300%. And what about the average worker's paycheck? Well, that's barely moved. It's crawled up by just 11%. 11. And that huge gap, it has very real consequences. It means that nearly 60% of Americans, that's more than half the country, are living so close to the edge that one single unexpected bill, a car repair, a trip to the ER, could throw them into a full-blown financial crisis. So here's the bottom line. For young people, for Gen Z, it's like the traditional career ladder is just broken. The first few rungs are completely missing. They're facing unemployment rates that are double the national average. They're graduating and can't find jobs. And a lot of the time, they're getting filtered out by AI before a human even sees their resume. The traditional doors, they're slamming shut.
So what do you do when all those normal doors are closed? Where do you even turn? Well, for some, the answer looks a lot like a huge mansion down in Miami, a place that seems to promise a golden ticket out. Welcome to the Bop House. Yeah, that's its name. It's a massive content mansion co-founded by Sophie Rain herself. You can think of it as the physical proof that you've made it in this world. It's where a group of young women all live together, somehow splitting a $75,000 a month rent check, and they just focus on building their online empires. But let's talk about that name for a second. Bop House. So, bop is a Gen Z slang term, and it's not a nice one. It's a derogatory word for a girl they think is promiscuous. But the founders, they chose that name on purpose. Their logic was pretty simple. Hey, people are going to call us this anyway, so why not just own it? Let's lean in and make some money off of it. And oh boy, did they leverage it. We're talking private jets, Lamborghinis, and a jaw-dropping $250 million. That's what they earned together just last year. From the outside looking in, it really seems like they've cracked the code, right? But you know how it goes. That super glamorous image, the one that gets blasted out to millions of people on social media, well, it's hiding a much, much harsher truth. Because for almost everyone else trying to do this, the reality is a completely different story. This chart just lays it all out. The reality of this platform is, it's brutal. It's basically a mirror of the wider economy, a total winner-take-all game. You have the top 1%, the Sophies of the world, raking in millions. And then you have the average person on the platform. And what are they making? About $180 a month. A month. And here's the crazy part. Even for the ones who do make it to the top, the price they pay is massive. We're not just talking mean comments. We're talking a constant flood of harassment, people posting their real names and home addresses online. I mean, there are real-world dangers, like stalkers literally breaking into their homes. It's a completely draining job, and you're always living with this fear that you're just going to age out and become irrelevant. Sophie herself is really open about how tough it is. You know what her big dream is? It's not another Lambo. It's just to get out.
She wants to buy a huge farm and just live a quiet life, taking care of animals. Her advice to other girls thinking about this? Only do it as an absolute last resort.
Okay, so this whole thing, it doesn't just stop with the creators. Not at all, because to get subscribers, they have to be everywhere, all the time. Their content floods social media, and that's having a huge impact on the millions of young people, kids really, who are watching all of this unfold.
I mean, when you actually talk to middle schoolers, you hear about this really disturbing shift. Boys are saying they now expect girls to look like the women they see in these videos. And what's the result? Girls are saying they feel ugly if they don't have that same hypersexualized look. Some are even talking about wanting plastic surgery just to try and keep up.
And it's not just anecdotal. Youth psychologists are sounding the alarm. One expert, Dr. Emma Carlisle, calls it incredibly damaging. Why? Because it's basically teaching a whole generation of young people that their fundamental worth as a person is tied directly to how sexualized they are.
And that brings us all the way back to the biggest question of all. Look, this isn't really a story about the choices of a few young women. It's a story about us. It's about the economic pressures and the social world that we've all had a hand in creating. A world where, for more and more young people, a path like this doesn't just seem like an option. It's starting to look like the best option. Or maybe, just maybe, the only one they feel they have left.